Hello all and welcome to my page. I'm Marcus Cash. Um, Down below you will see my media handles for basically everything, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. I appreciate you stopping by the channel. Before I get into my rant of this episode, be sure to click the bell, like, share, subscribe, comment away, and share with any and all. I do appreciate your time and thank you in advance. Alright, and welcome back to the page. This is going to be the 5th edition of Prichard's Raw, where Bruce Prichard, aka Brother Love, has been in charge of Monday Night Raw since he took creative control from Paul Heyman. And as a brief synopsis, this took a little bit longer to upload because I kind of fell asleep on this episode a couple of different times trying to watch it so I can do this review. Did not love it as much as the first 4. Not to say that I overly loved the first 4, although I did enjoy them. This one took a little bit of getting through for me.
All that I am trying to do is lead Monday Night Raw to a brighter future.
Let's recap. So, we start off with another edition of the VIP Lounge with MVP.
Welcome back to the VIP Lounge.
He's hosting Dolph Ziggler.
Look who's here! He's back!
Who has his title match against Drew McIntyre, and he has the stipulation that he won't tell us yet. The one part of this whole thing that I actually approve of is, why would you give up your secret and the ace you have up your sleeve? Hang on to that, keep that in your back pocket, surprise the champion at the time of the match, and hopefully it works in your favor. Anyway, very typical nondescript, nothing to write home about, pay-per-view advertisement segment. It was to hype up this world title match, but I don't really care. Nobody I know really cares. I don't see why anybody else would really care. It's just kind of a flat feud, which is a shame because I like McIntyre. I really like Ziggler. I think McIntyre had been underutilized to this point. I think Ziggler's been underutilized his entire career. But this just doesn't enthuse me whatsoever.
Excuse me.
Next up though, what's quickly becoming one of my favorite segments, and I'm gonna give both parts of this equal credit here. We have Charlie Caruso.
And joining me now, we have Angel Garza.
In another backstage interview segment with Angel Garza.
Angel Garza!
Now, typical thing, right? She's saying Angel's name with some gusto. Andrade's name is kind of indifferent. There's just this female hatred in her voice and in her face when she says Elena Vega, which is great character work for Charlie, if I must say so. They have a tag team match.
Now, if all 4 of you want to mix it up, tag team match.
Tonight, eliminational at that against the Viking Raiders. And she's concerned about the tension that's been taking place between Andrade and Garza. And she wanted to get some thoughts on it. Now, they assure her that, they're on the same page. Everything's going to be fine. But here comes the Viking Raiders. And basically, they're badass tag team for the past year, although that has changed significantly in the last few months.
It's so sad. It's very sad.
But the interesting part to me is that now Charlie Caruso has also become enthralled by Ivar and his beard, and dear God, if they make Ivar another Otis, or the new Otis, because Otis is nowhere to be seen on TV anymore.
Thank you, Jesus!
I'm going to be thoroughly upset. Ivar, while bigger, is a tremendous athlete and a legit badass, and it's been gut-wrenching to watch this Viking Prophet thing that they were doing in these comedy segments. I can't take Ivar being the new Otis, especially for how that's going to screw over Eric.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nonetheless, though, there's that segment. Garza looked a little bit jealous of Charlie Caruso's reaction to Ivar. Commercial break. But then we have the Vega Boys in this tag team match against the Viking Raiders. And very solid tag team match. These guys are fun to watch compete against each other. I will say that. They eliminate Eric first, which is hyping my concern even more for this Ivar thing. It becomes a 2-on-1 situation. Ivar eliminates Andrade. He's a house of fire. He's almost going to eliminate Garza. Luckily, Garza, I want to say counter bombs. He countered an Ivar senton thing into a power bomb in the corner for a win. And while I could definitely see them having Ivar eliminate both Garza and Andrade by himself, essentially, if they are going to push this new Otis thing, I like that Garza got the win specifically between him and Andrade. I love the fact that that's team, the Vega Boys, won the match in general. I'm still very concerned about the showcase that was specifically and purposely put on Ivar in this match. I enjoyed it tonight, but I feel like this is going to be something that gets me very sick, very much so, very soon. And I'm dreading it. Anyway, though, for however sick to my stomach and however sick to your stomach that might have caused you, rest assured, WWE's version of Pepto-Bismol is here. Next up is the Iconics. And there's a backstage segment. Essentially, they have a tag team match tonight against Ruby Riott, which is obvious, right? Because Ruby Riott faced Peyton Royce and Billie Kay in back-to-back weeks. And it's been about a month since we've seen Liv Morgan. So you would think that maybe Ruby Riott's gotten in touch with Liv Morgan and is a tag team match.
Tag team match!
Or this is a handicap match.
If you don't have any friends.
But nonetheless, neither of those options. It's actually a return that I have been waiting for.
Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
And the EST of WWE is back on television, finally.
I'm the strongest, the toughest, the roughest, the quickest, the smartest, and you can't book me.
Bianca Belair is going to team up with Ruby Riott. On paper and on a picture alone, very odd mix to me. But seeing them interact with each other seems like it kind of fits, and be damned if Bianca Belair doesn't seem like she gives a lot of personality off to Ruby Riott. So, could be an interesting mix. Something I'd be okay with not just seeing for 1 week. Anyway, though, they have their tag match. Decent enough action. They're allowing the Iconics to get in some offense. So they're not this jokey, cowardly heel team like exclusively anymore, which I appreciate. They were kind of beating up on Ruby Riott, for lack of a better term, but she's able to get the hot tag in on Bianca. Bianca clears house, as she should, even against the Iconics. And Bianca essentially wins the match by herself, which is the absolute right call because, honestly, Bianca will whip all three of them in the ring, her partner included. So very excited Bianca's back. Very excited that she picked up the win. Very excited she picked up the win in dominating fashion. And hopefully this is good things to come for her because she's one of 3 people who should be running the division on Raw, and one of them's a champion, and one of them we haven't seen in forever also. Next segment, though, we have R-Truth backstage, and he's talking to Cedric Alexander and Richard Shay, I guess, because he's calling Ricochet Richard. And I'm not really going to get into it. It's just a damn shame, the joke that they've turned these guys into. R-Truth always was a joke, even when he was K-Quick. When he came back, he was a joke. He was afraid of spiders and heights and got every segment and event and opponent wrong for forever. It has its comical moments, sure. My favorite being him bringing a ladder into a Royal Rumble, but I can never take R-Truth as a serious competitor ever again. Haven't been able to for a long time. And anyone he associates with in any way, shape, or form it gives me a little pause, because that lets me know as a viewer, oh, they don't take this person seriously whatsoever either. And considering Ricochet should be getting a push and was supposed to have been getting a push, and Cedric, who is supposed to be getting a push, every time they interact with Truth, I'm more and more concerned and less optimistic.
Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You got all the talent in the world.
Anyway, though, they're backstage, they're talking. Akira Tozawa shows up with his ninjas. Big Ninja's still missing. It's been a couple weeks now in a row. Big Ninja's missing. But Akira shows up with regular-sized ninjas, and Truth's not having it because he's got a very big match with Randy Orton tonight for whatever reason. So he's telling Akira Tozawa to meet him out in the ring right now, and they'll have a one-on-one match for that softcore title right now.
That was easy.
So, flash forward to the ring. Akira, Truth, the ninjas, they're all there, but music hits, and I'm excited again because
Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
Shayna Basler is back, and it's about freaking time, because she's the other person who's been missing for way too long, and the other person this division should be revolving around. So Basler shows up, and she immediately takes out the ninjas one at a time. She chokes one of them out. Akira decides he doesn't want any part of this whatsoever, rightfully so, because she would absolutely mop the floor with Akira, because she's not having it. She's not here for the goofiness. Hopefully she wrote them off of TV altogether. I guess we'll wait till next week to find out for sure about that. And Truth sees this. They have a stare down. The internet rumblings was that Shayna Basler was going to do something with the 24/7 title and R-Truth, and yuck to all of that. So it's kind of apprehensive to what I was about to see. But R-Truth decides he's going to duck out of the ring and give Shayna Basler the floor, thankfully.
Thank you, Jesus!
And Shayna decides to take the microphone and do what's probably the one thing she should never, ever, ever do. She grabs the microphone and she wants to cut a promo.
The Queen of Spades is here, hitting you with a hard dose of reality.
Now, I don't know who helped her with the promo. I don't know who scripted her with the promo. I don't know who role-played the promo with her. I don't know who helped her practice. But if I had to bet money, I would probably say it was Triple H, because I'm listening to this promo, and the only thing I can hear is Triple H, or more importantly, The Rock imitating Triple H.
I'm going to be talking and saying absolutely nothing.
Essentially, though, Shayna's going to serve everybody a hard dose of reality, and she is the reality, and that trail of fear and broken limbs that she's left behind, I think she's going to be bringing those back, and I'm here for it. Hopefully, though, no more 3 brands Bayley, and as much as I love her individually, specifically individually, hopefully no more 3 brand Banks. We can only hope, though. Next segment, though, we have Seth Rollins out, and he's going to cut a promo himself in regards to his eye for an eye match against Rey Mysterio.
An eye for an eye.
Now, apparently, Rollins thought that this eye for an eye tagline was figurative because it's a revenge match and everybody says eye for an eye rather flippantly in terms of revengeful things. But then he had to find out that the match was literal. That Rey Mysterio meant eye for an eye literally.
Literally?
So there's some concern. But Rollins is up for the challenge. Great sacrifices have to be made for the greater good. All that Messiah jazz. But Kevin Owens comes out. And I feel like I've seen this again because they just can't help but have Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins stuck in each other's worlds for however long this has already been. Granted, with a lot of odd breaks in between, but still, we've seen this and we've done this for a while now. Turns out that Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens are going to have a match tonight, which is kind of odd because unless I completely missed it, and considering I fell asleep a couple times watching this, I maybe did. I didn't hear them advertise a Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens match whatsoever. So it seemed kind of odd. But Seth Rollins calls out Murphy. They're going to jump Kevin Owens. Alistair Black, I guess, was hanging out with Murphy because his music hits and he comes out right behind Buddy Murphy. And I'm fearful that we're going to see another tag team match.
Tag team match.
But it turns out I'm wrong. We're going to have a one-on-one match, and it's going to be Alistair Black against Buddy Murphy. Again, another match we've seen a dozen times already. Not that they're not all spectacular, but still, we've been here, we've seen this, and almost ad nauseum at this point. But they have their match. Classic, splendid as always. There's almost a finish because Alistair Black has got the pinfall on Buddy Murphy, obviously with the black mass. We get to a 2 count, but Rollins interjects. He pulls Alistair out of the ring. That's a no contest or a disqualification. They didn't really specify, not that it matters.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
But that's going to immediately end that match and kind of instantly start his match with Kevin Owens because they're all at ringside anyway. And go. We got things to do. Now, the Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins match, as typical fashion for them as well, to their credit, another solid match as well. So on a show that's de-emphasizing actual in-ring competition and wrestling and things like that in favor of segments, to be able to get a couple of back-to-back matches that are pretty freaking good. Very surprising, especially in the back-to-back aspect, so that part I very much enjoyed. However, what gives me a bit of pause, and I'd imagine for all of you watching as well, is the finish. The finish didn't make sense to me whatsoever. Because we have Seth Rollins, the obvious bad guy, the guy who called himself Messiah. And then we have Kevin Owens, who's good guy by default, because he's really not a good guy, period, except in real life. In real life, he's amazing, apparently. But on screen, he has to be the good guy because he's got this issue and this conflict with Seth Rollins. And during his match with Seth Rollins, Rey Mysterio came out, Dominic came out, they were all at ringside, and Seth Rollins is about to pick up the win on Kevin Owens, granted because he stuck his thumb in Kevin Owens' eye, kind of a preview for the match with Rey Mysterio. Rollins is about to pick up the win. Alistair Black jumps up on the ring to distract Seth Rollins. Rollins runs him off. Dominic climbs up on the other side to distract Seth Rollins. Rollins runs him off. Rey Mysterio climbs up on the apron to distract Seth Rollins. Rollins runs him off. Then all three of them get up on the apron, kind of like the Shield. So that was kind of a cool aspect. If I had to give them anything, kind of turn the Shield thing around on Rollins himself. So maybe that's the thought process here, except that works for heels. It never really worked for faces. It was odd even then for the Shield when they were faces, despite the fact that that's what they do, because this is a very heelish thing to do. Nonetheless, though, they distract Rollins, and he turns around and he eats a stunner from Owens, and Owens picks up a win, but a very cheap win, because it took him 4 people to beat Seth Rollins.
The hell was that?
Stupid, 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 stupid.
It was a stupid idea from bad creative.
Bizarro world.
And I gotta ask myself, and anyone listening, aren't these people faces? Aren't these people good guys? Aren't these people not supposed to be using cheap wins and cowardly wins and distractions and things like that? They're supposed to be overcoming and fighting the good fight and getting screwed over, not screwing over. It's odd and it doesn't fit. It's a bit misplaced, and I'm annoyed at it. Happy for the match. Super annoyed at the ending. But maybe that's just because Rey Mysterio and Dominic were on my screen in the first place, and that already doesn't have me in a good mood. I don't know. Could be that. Next up, though, we have who I'm going to say might be the best in the business right now. And it's odd that I'm saying this in 2020. It's odd that I'm saying this period whatsoever, regardless of when. But we have Randy Orton. And Randy Orton's cutting a promo. And it is a really good promo. He's embracing this legend killer gimmick of his from yesteryear, and he's really in the zone. This promo put that over, and it sounded good. It sounded believable. It sounded serious, and it sounded like something that, you know, the younger talent and the rookies can watch in their own promo classes and learn how to do that. He comes out for his match. He squashes R-Truth, rightfully so. No reason R-Truth should have ever stood a chance, and he didn't. RKO, that match ended quick enough where R-Truth couldn't even take off his title. Pretty much right after that, though, they teased the punt kick. The Big Show comes out. Randy Orton essentially challenges him to an unsanctioned match for next week. The Big Show accepts, and I'm a little bit excited for that match because it's unsanctioned, and I'm hoping Randy Orton's here to hurt Big Show so Big Show can just go away. Next up, though, we have here MVP and Lashley. They're backstage. They're trying to talk to Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. The Cedric and Ricochet just aren't having it, though. Nothing really stands out here except for whatever rumors of Ricochet and Cedric potentially, or either one of them potentially joining MVP in a stable. They are really dragging that out and making it seem more and more like that's not the direction that they're going to move in anymore. Maybe it's a long con and there's a bigger payoff for when they do join, but it seems more like they just decided against it, and now Cedric and Ricochet are going to lose out because of it. Nothing else really of note here except for the fact that MVP and Lashley kind of referred to themselves as the Hurt Business, and you're kind of left wondering if that's just what they're calling them, or they're using a euphemism of some sort to describe themselves. But we'll go to a commercial, and when we come back from a commercial, we've got MVP and Lashley in the ring, and according to the announcers, they are the Hurt Business. That is their name, and they didn't explain it. They didn't say this is their name, this is what they're referring to, this is how they view themselves, this is how they want to be known as. Nothing that explains how, when, why they became the Hurt Business, but the announcers just confirmed Ricochet, Cedric Alexander, the Hurt Business, just flippantly, just threw it in there. Just like, you already knew it, just here you go. You didn't know it, we didn't explain it, oh well, here it is, this is what it is now. Kind of lazy. I like the name. name's cool. Name's a lot better than MVP and Lashley. So I appreciate that. I appreciate something that puts out there that it's hurt, it's pain, it's violence, it's fighting, it's things like that, instead of whatever horrible, corny, and potentially racist names that WWE could have put out there. So Hurt Business is definitely welcome and approved in that aspect. But just the introduction of it, just very flippant and indifferent and nondescript for something that should be taken seriously, could have been taken a lot more seriously, for something that has a lot of potential. So, I don't know, I expected more, or at least was hopeful for more. Still hopeful that they build on it a lot more than that. But nonetheless, we have a Ricochet and Bobby Lashley match, because that's gone anything but not well for Ricochet as of late. And pretty quick match, very brief, nothing spectacular. Ricochet got in a little bit of offense. I want to emphasize a little bit, but of course he ends up in the full Nelson, and there's one reason for that, and it's simply because
Anybody can get it. Like I said before, anybody can get it.
So submission went for Lashley. There's a brief scuffle. Cedric and MVP get involved. I'm thinking because of how quick that Lashley Ricochet match was that this is going to end up as a tag team match. But surprise, surprise, it didn't lead to a tag team match. So very happy about that. Speaking of tag team matches, though, and maybe the reason that didn't lead to a tag team match, our main event for the evening is a tag team match. And it's up next. It's the women's tag team champions, Sasha Banks and Bayley, against the Kabuki Warriors. And damn if I can say, this was a really good match. Maybe my favorite match of the night. This was a really good match. Not my favorite match of the night, but definitely the best match of the night. The best wrestling match isn't always my favorite thing all the time, but definitely the best match in terms of the wrestling. Everybody looked good. Kairi Sane, for whatever medical issues that she was having, where she wasn't cleared, she looked like $1,000,000 tonight, and she got a lot of offense. She took a lot of offense, and she looked like a star. She looked like someone who can have a division running around her herself if it wasn't for the injury history, or the fact that she takes a back seat to Asuka, for that matter. I know it was far-fetched, but I was kind of hoping this match was going to be the Kabuki Warriors taking back the tag team titles, some sort of like tomfoolery with Sasha Banks and Bayley, where one costed the other the title, or didn't prevent the other one from losing the title, and then that just leads to issues and tensions where they become less and less friendly till we get to SummerSlam for this women's title match over on SmackDown. But they didn't lose the titles. They're still the tag team champions. They had the Kabuki Warriors almost in position to win the match, but Sasha slipped out. She countered into her bank statement crossface, and she picked up the submission, and they kept the belts, and just felt a little flat for me because I had my hopes up that we were going to see a title change. So, I don't know. Rumor has it that Kairi may or may not be done anyway, whether she's going back to Japan or doing an ambassador thing or retiring altogether or some sort of combination. But I wanted to see her stick around, wanted to see her be tag champs with Asuka again, as that was almost as fun and my second favorite reign for those titles behind the Iconics. Overall, decent show, I guess. I felt it picked up a lot more and was quite a bit better latter half of the show. I think the front half of it was kind of if you will. But let me know what you think. Comments are open down below. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, though. And I'll catch you next time for Prichard's Raw. See you soon.